we see Brad, who is a pilot and the main character. He is seen walking through the airport while talking to his daughter on a video call. Brad tells his daughter that he will finish his work and come see her soon, making her happy. He expresses his happiness. Brad then heads to the cockpit to meet his colleague. The two pilots start talking about each other. Then Brad is called. The officer informs him that due to an emergency he has to take a dangerous person named Tony with him. Tony is very powerful and Brad is given this responsibility due to his sensitivity, which he accepts. Brad meets the rest of the crew when they discuss the passengers, whether everyone came or not, and once all the passengers come and sit on the plane, then those people immediately take off. Brad tells his fellow pilot that I love my daughter very much and I will meet her very soon. We have no one but each other. And then these people travel by plane until night, but then suddenly the weather starts to deteriorate. Brad looks worried about this because he wasn't feeling well. He tells all passengers to buckle up. He also tries to talk to his center through the walkie-talkie, but he can't talk about it because all the radios here slowly stop working, and then all of a sudden a violent electric shock comes from the plane and hits. Because of this, the plane starts moving. Brad is starting to worry, so he breathes a sigh of relief when he goes to see all the passengers, because all passengers were fine, and here the light was slowly fading in the middle. The plane is hit again. This causes Brad to fall and injure his head. Due to all these circumstances, all the passengers were in a bad condition. Brad returns to the cockpit and begins tending to the plane with his companion. It was a very difficult time for him because the radio wasn't working. Moreover, nothing was visible on the screen in front of him. Then Brad says we need to bring the plane down because if another shock is applied, the plane will be destroyed. So these people immediately start taking down the plane. All the passengers were terrified. The woman then unbuckles her seat belt. When Tony's officer saw her, he did the same. As the plane was descending, it hit hard from the upper side, so hard that he dies instantly. Suddenly the plane begins to descend rapidly. Then Brad and his companion quickly spiral out of control. Then the flight attendant tells Brad that the passengers are in bad shape, at which he tells everyone to take their seats because we're about to land at a poor airport. Now these to see us passing over the island, so if there is no other way, he decides to land the plane on this island. He gives the correct location and then lands the plane, even if they crash landed, but still they landed safely. Now Brad and his companion are happy to find that the plane still has some electricity. Brad then tells everyone to get off there. The owner of the airline also sees that the plane has suddenly disappeared somewhere because he didn't see the plane land, and for a long time he could not contact him due to damage to the radio. That's why he looks a little tense. Now the flight attendant comes in and tells Brad that the officer who brought Tony in has died. Jason is sad but tells him that whatever happened, take care of the rest of the passengers now. Everyone was wondering why we landed here. Because of this, Brad comes forward and says that we had to land here due to an emergency. There is still some electricity in the plane with which we will fix the rest of the electricity. Until then, feel free to stay here. You will get food, water, and accommodation. And don't worry, we'll be out of here very soon. There the airline owner meets the rescue expert who does the work of finding such people stuck in trouble. The company manager tells him, I need all the details about my plane, like where he went, his workers, all passenger information. Now Brad comes to the plane and starts repairing it, but he sees that the power and electricity in the plane is very low. Therefore they will have to wait because the radio is also not working. Then when he tells his co-pilot gives a map and says we're stranded on a private island. This is not a vacant post, but it was captured by a private army here, which was bad because they were all scumbags in it, and if they cause us any harm, then the government will not save us. When Brad hears this, he says we are going to have to call our rescue team here somehow to come and save us all because this is the only way to get out of here. Now Brad comes up to everyone and tells them that the radio is still down due to some malfunction. When the passengers hear this, they are very worried. Brad also convinces them that we will go to the other side of the island and find the radio, and he asks his team to send a rescue team here which will come and save you all, and Tony will come with me. As he says this, he opens Tony's hand and these people move forward. Now we see the head of the bad guys who are in the private army to which a man comes and says that an emergency plane arrived and stopped here on the island, and there are a lot of people in it who are from different countries. Fearing this, the private army commander gives him money. He tells his team to prepare for this information because maybe these people went with the intention of robbing them in the jungle of the island. Brad and Tony move forward. Tony asks Brad, why did you free me and where are you taking me now? So Brad says, I can't put everyone in danger because of you, and here is a dangerous private army who you have to face with me. And then Brad asks a lot of questions, and then suddenly it goes silent. So when Brad turns around and sees Tony wasn't there, he was gone there. The rescue expert goes left to get information about the plane. She sees Brad in the video. He fights with the struggling passenger and beats him a lot. Now that he saw his fighting skills, the rescue expert was very happy. He then talks to the head of the private company. He says, "People, be prepared at a time you may need it," to which she says yes. In the jungle, Brad goes to the food factory where he finds the closed radio machine, and then he fixes it and hangs up. They speak on the helpline, to whom he tells about his plane in this island, but due to some problem in the line, the person in front of him cannot hear him. Then he gets an idea. He writes all these things to his daughter and asks her to tell him in his office, and then a man comes and attacks Brad. Then he catches him and beats him a lot and falls unconscious. Then Brad feels that someone is coming into this room. That's why he hides quickly, but there was no one there but Tony, who killed a lot of goons and took their guns, and he starts calling Brad. But when Brad comes in front, he also gives him some weapons. After that, they both begin to descend. Then here they get the camera in which they recognize the dangerous private army from the video. Here they kidnap people who come, and then they take a lot of money from their family in exchange for leaving them. As soon as they see, they will understand that our passengers are also in danger. Now they both come and sit in the car outside and start walking towards your passengers. When all the passengers were sitting there, then they heard the sound of a car. When they think that they are very happy that it is Brad, but no Brad. There was the dangerous private army. They were shooting bullets and aiming at these people. Brad and Tony also heard the sound of those bullets. The chief pilot of a private army requests a list of all passengers. Then the flight attendant quickly brings the list and gives it to him. Then the head asks where your senior pilot Brad is, in which he tells that he went to the jungle for some work, but he hasn't returned yet. Meanwhile, the woman is trying to escape from there, but they shoot and kill her. When Brad hears this, he runs to her aid, but Tony stops him. The heroes start putting all the passengers on the bus because he was taking them with him and making them prisoners. Their leader tells his two companions to go to the plane and bring all the necessary valuables, whereupon he himself takes all the passengers and departs from there. Then Brad gets mad at Tony for taking our people, and you wouldn't let me go too, which Tony explains to him that he was a very large army. They are dangerous people. If you went, you wouldn't be able to fight such a large army alone. But now these two were sad, but they went on and they catch the two goons who were taking the valuables off the plane. Brad asks them at gunpoint where they would go with the passengers, on which it says there is a factory. They had to go there. Now the rescue expert learned about the situation there from Brad's daughter. That means their plane is stuck on the island there, and there is also a very dangerous private army. He tells the owner of the airline, to which he says to send your private team and rescue team immediately. Then these people quickly find the island in their plane, at which they decide that the leader of the private team will go there first with his team, on which Brad and Tony were driving towards the factory. When they reach it, they slip inside where all those goons were taking videos of the passengers, show which passenger is from which country. Now the private team will also get close to the plane, but when he doesn't see anyone there, the team leader goes inside the plane and checks where were the two dead. In addition, Brad's message to get into the factory is also found there. They were both hiding in the factory, keeping an eye on Lagoons, of which two goons come out from behind and grab them, then shut their mouths and suffocate them, by which they die. Then they go to the secret door. They reach outside the room. Inside this room were all the passengers. There were a lot of guards standing there, seeing who makes Tony very angry. That's why he takes a hammer there and kills everyone one by one. Brad then takes the keys from Lagoon and frees the passengers from the room. He then tells everyone to get near the plane as soon as possible because he radioed for help. The rescue team must arrive. He then makes everyone sit on the bus. Then Tony comes up to him and tells him that there are a lot of idiots standing outside, so we can't get out of here. Seeing the passengers worried, he says, I will distract the passengers while Tony, you take all the passengers out of here. After saying that, Brad walked out of there and came to the pools. He says in his head that my team is coming here. That is why you are leaving my passengers, while the goons come and start beating him. In his head says, how can I leave it like this? I will not leave anyone without money. After he is about about to kill Brad with a bullet then. A private team comes here and attacks. Emmy shoots a lot in which many goons are killed. She then starts taking Brad and walking out of there. He sits on the bus and leaves. The leader of the fool sees it along with the rest of the fools. My brother was also killed, so he gets very angry, so he tells his team to hurry up, prepare, and yes, don't leave anyone behind. Kill them all one by one. Guard. Brad starts talking to the private team. Then his head tells him we are a small private team who didn't come here to save you because we are not a rescue. There is still time for them to come. Once Brad starts to get nervous, he says, no problem, I have an idea. After that, these people also approach the plane where all the passengers. Tony is already embarrassed. Brad then tells his people that a private team has come here to help us, and now with their help we will drive the plane, and he leaves immediately. So now everyone get on the plane quickly because we can't wait for the rescue team. There is still time for them to come, and if we stay here that dangerous army will kill us. After hearing this, all the people are sitting in the plane while Brad starts repairing the plane along with the leader of the private team, where goons come and attack them. See who the private team starts stopping, and there are a lot of bullets falling from both sides, but this team had a lot of good weapons, so they kill a lot of goons. Brad tells the team leader that I will take off the plane in 5 minutes. That means I will shoot, after which we all fly. Then he also thanks Tony for being so supportive. Then Brad steps in between the bullets and sits down. He begins to fly the plane together with his co-pilot. Tony's bullets are gone, and when he checks the private team back, he finds a bag of money there, but for now he leaves the money and starts fighting the gun goons from the other bag again. By then Brad had also turned the whole plane around. Then the private team starts climbing the plane to the owner of the airline. Told Brad, I'll tell you a safe place where you can go. All the people get on the plane, but Tony doesn't. He starts running with a bag full of money. Seeing him leave, a private army attacks his plane. His guide considered bringing a rocket launcher in front of the plane and flying it in one shot, but Tony saw him. He shoots him and drops him. It stops doing that. When Brad sees this, he is very happy. He then manages to fly the plane with all his might. This made Tony happy as well, and he also leaves. Brad takes the plane off the island while the owner of the plane tells him about the airport where these people could go, which was very close. Then Brad starts the plane to that side, but the plane starts to break down again. This is why Brad crash lands again, and after their plane lands, the jungle path begins to move forward. All lives were saved. That's why she was very happy. The owner of the airline and his team were also very happy there. Brad and his companion also breathe a sigh of relief that at least she came from that island and everyone's life was also saved. Her rescue team will be arriving soon. See who made all the passengers happy. They also applauded Brad's bravery. Brad then sends all the passengers with the rescue team. He then talks to his daughter. She was very happy about it. Thank God my dad is alive. Both daughters were very fond of talking, and this is where the cinematic story recap of Brad's bravery ends. Thank you for watching this video. If you want more video like this, then please like, share, and subscribe.